It's the start of Friday night action here on RaceSpotTV, and what better way to kick it off than at the Phoenix Raceway? Hello, one and all, and welcome to the iRacing Indy Pro 2000 Championship on RaceSpotTV. I'm Noel Rempo with Lorenzo Botner beside me in the commentary box, and Connor Matic down behind the cameras for today's 60 laps of racing here in Arizona. So Lorenzo, 3 open wheel races tonight. We've got the Indy Pro 2000s, we've got the Formula 3s, and then the Formula Vs to top it all off. However, only one of them is here on an oval, and that is this race right here at the Phoenix Raceway at this beautiful 1 mile oval in its 2008 configuration.
It's going to be a very interesting race. It's the first of 3 races in the calendar that actually are part of the oval. You guys see Iowa being the week number 7, and then we go to Worldwide Technology Raceway or Gateway to round 11, but it's going to be a very, very interesting round nevertheless.
Going to be very entertaining indeed. This is, of course, going to be before we hop back over to Austria for the Red Bull Ring, a very new addition to the iRacing service, and one that we're very much looking forward to. So, currently about midway here through the championship, approaching that first quarter mark. Greg Seitz currently in the lead with 305 points. Right behind him, though, Mitchell Ian Green with 289. It is worth noting here, neither driver is making an appearance in tonight's event here, Lorenzo.
Yeah, so Mitch is not going to be over here near Medema, but we got Greg Seitz. He's actually P8 in the standings so far, but not in the position that he wants to be, because apparently we got some Indy Dallara IR18 pros that are actually taking the top spots for now.
And just like that, qualifying does wrap up to a close. So very quick laps, very quick qualifying as well. Not the 10 minutes that we're traditionally used to. So we'll send things down to the starting grid for today's 60-lap event for the 15-car field. Frank Newen is going to be out on the pole with Riley Thompson down in second. Jason Owens is going to be in third with Kevin Smalley in fourth. Martin Steinhilber in fifth place with Connor Melia in sixth. Aaron Roofs in seventh with Greg Seitz down in eighth. Hans Seeger is in ninth place with Jason Pedu in 10th. Pierre Bourdon is going to be in 11th place with Jeffrey Koenigsfeld in 12th position with James Allen 13th. Jason Miller and Matt Hollabo rounding out the 15-car field for today's race. So, Lorenzo, going to be a very entertaining race here tonight for sure. 2 seconds, though, separate all the way from the top driver down to the bottom in this field.
For me, it's weird to see Hollybaugh being in the bottom of this field, knowing that he's probably the most experienced individual. I probably know, aside from Riley Thompson, in the Indy cars, and this is basically a lower tier version of the Indy car. Like, it's one of the entry divisions of the Indy cars, Road to Indy Pro. So it's weird to see Hollybaugh struggling with qualifying. His normal pace is usually better, but I can't wait to see what he's going to do from P15.
Well, he did say that he actually crashed out on his first lap of qualifying and then dropped the fuel a little too much, so ran out on his last lap. So that will explain why Hollybaugh is so far back. We'll have to wait and see if he'll be able to improve as the race goes on. He's one of the few drivers we're still waiting on. We are also waiting on the 12th place driver of Koenigsfeld to get himself set up in his car in the number 8 machine. So still waiting on 2 drivers here. We will have that one and only pace lap before we go green flag racing. Now it looks like everybody's gridded up. We're ready to go racing here at this 1 mile oval.
It's going to be interesting to see how lap 1 will fare, because usually there's quite some attrition, especially in this older version of Phoenix that has not been repaved like we see in the ones we see at NASCAR and the NASCAR series. But it's going to be very interesting for lap 1, because the cars tend to get a little bit snappy on the entry, and their reacceleration is going to be dangerous. Of course, they are smaller than the IR18s that we normally see in Indy cars, and obviously smaller than the NASCAR chassis that we see in the eNASCAR in real life. So it's going to be like, we can see 3 wide in turn number 1, but then everything kind of stretches out in the back stretch of the tri-oval, because we don't have to run off like we do in the real life version.
So it'll be Frank Newen then to lead the field off to the green flag. Number 5 car with a flying lap to put himself on pole with a 25.225, over a tenth faster than Riley Thompson, starting beside him. So we'll see what these 2 drivers can make for us here coming down to the turn 1 for the first time today. The iRacing safety car is going to pull it down to pit road in the hands now of that number 5 machine. Pulls the field slightly. Now he gets the launch. We're green flag racing out from Phoenix, and Riley Thompson has got a bit of a run coming down to the turn 1, but he is still clear of the 3rd place driver of Jason Owens, who is trying to fend off Kevin Smalley just behind.
Yeah, apparently Jason Owens actually Kevin Smalley didn't get a good start. Was P4 trying to jump himself, but just got a little bit blocked off during re-acceleration. Dropped back one spot, managed to climb to the back it again. Now P4, and now the hunt will begin.
Oh, one car already slams in the background. That's Jeffrey Koenigsfeld. And how did nobody run into the number 8 car? An incredibly huge moment for the 8 machine. Had a 4-tire lockup. Drivers behind had to scramble to avoid him. The most big one was Hans Seeger and James Allen, who had to also worry about Jason Miller coming down the track. So nearly had first caution of the night on just the first lap of the race. Take a look at the RaceSpotTV replay. Take a look at this one for the 8 car coming off of turn 4. Gonna watch here. He's gonna lose this one all by himself, right to the center of the corner through the exit, and right about there, locks it up. Oof.
That's good avoidance right there. I gotta tell you.
An incredibly good job for everybody behind to be able to avoid that and somehow not be collected further in this incident. Looking single file throughout a good portion of the field here. Only one side-by-side battle going on, and that's way deep in the field. And there's been contact. Pierre Bourdon getting sent around. James Allen's also involved, and Jerry Koenigsfeld is also sent in. Hard crash to the inside. Caution flag is out for the first time tonight. The 8 car left with nowhere to go.
Yeah, it looks like Pierre Bourdon was on the top side going to turn number 1. Got pinched in by the number 8 of Koenigsfeld, and a little bit of wheel-to-wheel action. The rear left of Koenigsfeld, of Bourdon getting to the front left of Koenigsfeld. The two got together. I think there was another car right in the midst. That was James Allen as well. So 3-car pile up in lap number 4.
And poor Koenigsfeld just had nowhere to go in the number 8 machine, and he collided with the inside wall big time as well. James Allen's right rear suspension torn apart. Koenigsfeld lost both front wheels of the accident. Pierre Bourdon lost all wheels but one in this accident. We'll take a ride on board here with James Allen, who just pushes up too much, just a bit too aggressive, made contact there with 13, and then got run over himself. Good job on, I think that was Matt Hollabo, to get through that mess as well to the number 2 car. That could have been a lot worse for him. Matt Hollabo does take it down to pit road. I am seeing some damage on the left front suspension, actually, of the number 2 car. Yep. So he actually might not have gotten away with that one as clean as we thought.
No, he didn't. I think he got, like, he barely scraped into the track. You can see his steering wheel twitching a little bit to the left-hand side, but I think he's going to be able to come back on track just in time. That I think the damage will be too much for him to recover. But then again, he's one of those experienced guys in these kind of cars and also ovals. Let's see what he does.
So to reset the field, Frank Newen still leads. Got Riley Thompson in 2nd, Owens 3rd, Smalley 4th, and Steinhilbert in 5th place to round out the top 5 on the field. We are now down to just a 12-car field as 3 drivers getting eliminated in just the 4th lap of the race. So not the cleanest of starts for 3 of those drivers further in the back. And it's worth noting as well, that was the only battle that we had side by side at the moment as well, showing that while this is a fairly wide track, considering how narrow these Indy Pro 2000s are, that still doesn't mean you're invulnerable to crashes.
No, you're not, especially at turn number 1, where you can actually miscalculate how well can you get off the line, and if you got someone side by side, you need to make those adjustments and calculations appropriately so you can avoid running into the back. Well, someone like what happened to James and Pierre right there. As you can see, Riley on the frame right now started P2. The Total Downforce Racing driver, or TDR for short, is having a really good race so far. Another one of those experienced IndyCar races coming into the oval.
Of course, Thompson making a name for himself in several other series, including the Pacific Majors as well. So that's one driver to certainly keep an eye on throughout the course of the night. Single file restarts is going to see Frank Newen taking the outside line, preventing anybody from getting the run around the outside. Of course, if you pass the inside, you do get penalized. Not so much if you try to do it around the outside. That's why we're seeing these guys so close up to the wall. Pace's car is off. Newen gets on the lap pedal. We're back underway from Phoenix. Down to turn 1, you saw 3rd place driver of Jason Owens look around the inside of Thompson, tried to maybe have a poke out for 2nd place, decided to back out of it though on the entry to 1.
Yeah, I think it was the smart move for Owens right here. Don't be overly aggressive. Just trying to look for the for the run, as you're going to see around Riley on the inside.
Thompson trying to gun to the point around Frank Newen here, down to the turn 1 for the 9th time today. Riley Thompson's not able to get the position just yet. Newen is really holding them off around that outside line. He can get such a good run around the outside of these corners, all these ovals in these types of machinery. Riley Thompson, I don't think is going to have anything for him down to the bottom side. Look at the line that the 5 has taken. It is absolutely perfect to try to hold him off, but if he pushes too wide, he could find himself hitting the wall instead.
Yeah, it's very tricky, especially with the car that is very twitchy in the first few laps like the Indy Pro 2000 is. The thing is, if you overdrive this car as well, you're actually going to end up with the front right being way too shot, and you're going to have to go for a very different strategy that you probably have on your mind prior to the race. So I think Riley shouldn't be overly aggressive at the start of the race. Just work the tires, let them build up a little bit of heat, and whenever they actually kick in, go for those moves.
50 laps to go, already 11 in, so this race certainly does fly by. If we hadn't had that first caution, we'd probably be honestly about a third of the way through by this point in time. So you're still watching up front here as Riley Thompson still trying to find the inside. Frank Newen still did a good job to try to hold him up around the outside line. All of this is allowing Jason Owens and Kevin Smalley to slowly close the gap in third and fourth just behind. We're riding on board with Owens here as there goes Thompson to the inside with a much bigger lunge this time around, but has to check up to avoid pushing up into Newen and lose the back end himself. That gives the run out to Owens, who tries to go around the outside through the dog leg for second. He might take this one here in 3.
He might. Let's see what's going to be the runoff for Owens on the outside, but Riley actually had a decent run on the inside, but the problem is there is a little bit of a draft going on that top lane. That top lane actually gives you more grip on the runoff towards 3 and 1. So if you do not make the lunge and actually seal it by the end of midway portion of 1 and 3, you're basically done.
Kevin Smalley trying to pinch in Riley Thompson, maybe do a little bit of side drafting. It works a lot more, I would say, in stock car racing, which is what we're used to seeing here in this series. At this track, excuse me, not so much in the series. Kevin Smalley completes the pass for third around the outside. Thompson slots back in line. So Thompson went from fighting for the lead to being dumped outside of the podium because he got a little too aggressive there. And let's try to reset here. Maybe see if he can get a guy to work with him just behind these guys as well. You got the battle for 5th and 6th as well. Connor Melia and Martin Steinhilber almost going side by side. Melia would have had him on the inside, but he just barely clipped the apron and got himself a little bit loose and had to back off.
And the one thing you really don't want to do is clip the apron. They gotta be thankful these are low power cars. If this was the IR18 or the NASCAR by any chance, clipping the apron is basically the same thing as getting killed or sent to the wall, especially in the Indy cars, and especially turn number 1. If you do that on turn number 3, that is easier for you to manage, but still very risky nevertheless to pull that thing and go to the apron.
Third place is starting to pick on up once more. Riley Thompson and Kevin Smalley looking to do battle once again. Oh, so tight with each other. They managed to somehow keep it off of each other, though. Another reason, of course, as to why this track is so unique, and not just the layout, but the way it is as well, is actually that all these turns bank differently as well. You got turn 1, banked to 10 degrees. Turn 1 is about 8 degrees. Turns 2 is 8 to 9 degrees with some progressive banking higher towards the top, lower on the bottom. That's why you can get such a better run around the outside. Same with turns 3 and 4, where it is a higher degree of banking around the outside, banked at 11 and 10 degrees respectively.
Yeah, and sometimes actually that higher banking helps out a little bit on the traction and run off the car. So that's why you just saw Melia losing position to Greg Seitz. So the championship leader actually moved up 1 spot, but we got the battle.
Look out! Riley Thompson, huge crash, collects the 7 of Martin Steinhilber. Oh, and takes out Aaron Roofs as well, just up the road. Caution number 2, and this one not as a result of contact. Riley Thompson just got a bit too angsty. Got a huge tank slapper on corner exit of 2. We'll take a look at here. He just lost all by himself, and as soon as he hit the wall, he was done for. And there's Aaron Roofs just getting clipped.
And Roof actually said he thought he was safe from this one, and that's important because the Roof's car is immovable. And you see now on Steinhauer's perspective on what happened on that incident.
Yeah, super unfortunate. Roofs he had a whole left rear suspension ripped off because he got clipped. There was Steinhilber, who had nowhere to go in this wreck. He was coming in so fast, there was just no time to even react. I think this is going to be on board there on Roos here, and it's going to be a pretty hefty hit here you'll see as well. They're coming to the track, in mind. These two guys already have their brake slot. There's nothing they can do further. They're tangled together. Roos goes high. Right there, gets clipped, and that rips the left rear tire off.
If he was like 5 kilometers faster, I can guarantee you probably would have survived this one, but that's really unfortunate. And we only have 9 cars in the field.
What a tough break for Riley Thompson. He was one of the bigger names coming into today. He's an experienced driver in the Delar IR18s. Such a shame for a lot of those drivers got caught up. 2 cautions already, and we're just now a third of the way through this race. That is going to neutralize our field here, actually, here, Lorenzo, to about 11 cars total. You've also got Matt Hollabo that took another trip down the pit road. I think he's taking fuel and tires whenever he comes in.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing from Hollyball. I think getting that experience, climbing himself up, trying to recover that I rating though. He's the number 2 car in this split, so every position that he gets with this attrition that we are having at Phoenix, it's better for him, right?
It absolutely is. Of course, you have to get a run long enough that you actually properly utilize that fresh rubber, and so far, the run has only been about 10 laps or so. James Allen makes a trip down to pit road. Remember, Allen collected in an incident earlier today. He finds himself back on course, but several laps down, 12 laps to be exact. So he has a long way to go tonight. At this point, he's just into to try to recover some safety ready from this race.
Yeah, and for some drivers, you know, the best thing actually for Allen, he might try to actually minimize the damage in terms of I rating as well, because some of the drivers are also in the pit lane. So they're going to be for extensive repairs, and he's about 12 laps down. He can actually, if they stay for about, I would say 5-7 minutes longer, actually he can get those spots back up and claw himself back into the top 10, because P10 right now is Riley Thompson, and he's in the pit lane.
Going to be 39 laps to go this next time by at the line. Looks like we have exactly 11 cars now out there on course. Check that. We're going to have 10 cars on the lead lap. So we went from 15 to 10 in just a third of the race. If we keep up this trend here, Lorenzo, we're only going to have 5 cars left by the end of this race. We're losing a field for every third of the race so far.
Are you saying this is the Battle Royale?
I mean, I've seen worse.
True. That is true. But all right, let me ask you a question before we get to the restart, because this track has seen so much remodeling, like the repavement, the runoff in the apron on the backstretch, and then the start-finish line. Which one do you think it is the best modification out of the 3? Of course, aside the repavement. Remove the repavement out of the 2.
I like the addition of the dog-leg, where you could cut down low. That's always been something I've actually really liked in this track. I've never been a fan of the old Phoenix. I don't know. I just never figured out how to properly run here, even the new one. I don't know. It's not my track.
Fair point.
Pace car getting set to pull back down on the pit road for the 3rd time today. Frank Newen is going to be leading the field back to the green flag. Single file restarts. Newen on the loud pedal early. Looks like 2nd place. Jason Owens caught napping on the restart. We're back racing here at the Phoenix Raceway. Newen leads by a big way down to the turn number 1. The field of 10. Looking to be good, and so far, still single file.
Everybody's single file. You can see James Allen starting to move up a little bit on the back of the frame and catching up. I think, what is that? I was going to say right behind him is Jason Miller, so he just let him by, and Hollyball also making places as well.
It's not going to help Allen. It's not going to help Allen too much, though. He's still 12 laps down, so that's not going to do him a whole lot of good, is it? It'd do him more better, I would think, to just sit in the back and just ride this one out to the end. That way he's not right in the thick of things if a wreck happens. Up front, starting to place a little bit of Duggins here for the race lead. Frank Newen and Jason Owens, you saw trying to go side by side through 1 and 2. Newen still pulled ahead. Oh, he nearly clips the wall that time out of 3 and 4. Manages to hold it off. Kevin Smalley as well, looking to give it a little bit of draft to help the Jason Owens. Trying to help him close up to the number 5 and maybe take away the lead.
Yeah, let's see how they actually going to manage this, because 3-way battle and with some arrow push right here, because there is some slight arrow push in this car, especially coming out of 3. Let's see how they're going to negotiate out of the corners. Oh, and I think Newen nearly grazed the wall out of turn number 4.
And Newen's getting a little bit antsy, getting really, really close to that wall. Oh, and clipping the apron is Jason Owens. That's not something you want to do. We talked about how treacherous that is. Even the IRATs, you can have a little bit more leeway with that. That's not to say you should go ahead and just do it, though. I mean, you really need to still be very, very cautious with how you drive along that apron. Kevin Smalley is looking to really put on the pressure for second place as well. He was right up on the gearbox of Jason Owens off of 2 that last time by.
Yeah, and you can see now they're riding again nearly to the apron now. Smalley actually touching the apron in here a little bit. Getting away with it, that's okay. Again, low-powered cars give you that leeway, just like we said. But let's see how they're going to negotiate if they actually going to go for that line as the stint progresses. Because even though they are 27 laps on that stint, effectively they've been about 12, 13 laps, so the tire hasn't gone off like we normally would expect by now.
I am keeping one eye on Matt Holloway because despite pinning that last time by, he's already pushed his way up to 7th very early. He is about 0.7 of a second, though, off of Hans Seeger behind for 6th place. So he's still trying to close on up. But the French driver certainly helped it to get past Jason Perdue, along with Jason Miller and Jeffrey Koenigsfeld. Managed to work his way all the way up there. And now running 7th place. He's kind of on his own, though. I think he would need another caution to help him benefit a little bit more from that fresher rubber.
Yeah, he actually tried to go for the run into turn number 1 and 2 at some point, but he's playing a little bit more conservatively, waiting for a possible crash between the leaders and things like that, so he can climb himself back up. As it's going to be interesting because Hollywood is not one of those guys that we normally see again in the back.
You just saw Allen working his way up past Thompson and Steinhiller, who are both still stopped in pit road on the left side of the screen. So, sure enough, Allen is taking a good strategy, working his way slowly but surely up through the field. Now, here we go. Jason Owens looking for the lead. Makes a huge launch down the inside of the new and trying to go for the first actual proper lead change of the night. We've seen drivers attempt it, but nobody's been able to complete it, and it's going to be a similar story here. Frank Newen able to hold him off around the outside line. Tell you what, that 5 car's got that outside groove dialed in. He's allowed people to get on the inside, but he just is so much better on exit, they don't have anything for him.
Yeah, the thing is, you have to commit into the inside eye as we see Aaron Roos coming into the pit lane again. But the thing is, if you go for that inside move, it's complicated. If you go for that inside move, it's going to be complicated because you don't get the grip on the outside run. So that run you want to, you don't get it. Now you can see now always a little bit brute force towards the outside now.
So apparently there's a bit of debris on the track around turn 4, and Aaron Roos ended up smacking the wall, losing his front wing at turn 4 on lap 19. So some time ago for him, that's lap 19 for him, of course. Take a look at this, though. Jason Owens has now gotten the outside line. Frank Newen now has to try to fight him off around the bottom. This is not going to be very easy here to do. Kevin Smalley and Greg Seitz looking into the wings as well. Seitz going to promote himself up to 3rd. Kevin Smalley trying to fend him off for the final podium spot around the outside groove. Here comes Jason Owens with the run. Past halfway. Now Owens trying to gun for the race lead.
Side by side, both drivers, but Owens will get that grip towards the outside, get a little bit overlap. Basically, 1 car length separates him and Newen now. And the thing is, Seitz wants to get in, but this 4-way battle, really good battle, as we still have less than half of the race to go. I would say right about 25 laps.
26 to be exact, coming around to 25 this next time by. So you're pretty much right on the money there. Jason Owens finally clears first proper lead change on the night. Jason Owens takes it after Frank Newen led nearly half of the race in dominating fashion. Kevin Smalley nearly runs over the 5 as well, coming to the turn 3. Don't discount Greg Seitz as well. That number 12 car is looking very racy in the back end as well. Now Smalley's trying to go for the switchback as Newen cuts him off out of turn 4.
And you can see now Smalley going for the launch on turn number 1, but just couldn't get that run. Now you're going to see Seitz coming into the top lane, and he's going to have the advantage. Now Newen is going to come into the inside.
Oh, good grief. Talk about forcing Jason Owens wide. Frank Newen ended up getting a great run, a result of being on the top line, out from turn number 4. Seitz has picked up 3rd. He's trying to almost look 3 wide for the race lead, trying to go up the middle, but there just was no room for him. Owens, though, still has the outside. We have seen how dominating that outside line can be. That's where you want to be if you want to make up these passes or defend against an overtake. Seitz is going to go around the outside line, and Frank Newen goes from first all the way back to third.
Yeah, not surprised to see how overpowered is that outside line for Phoenix. So take advantage out of it. You're gonna get the good run. It's kind of like off camber, so you're gonna get the better run out of it. And it's gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna keep switching back positions back and forth. They still haven't pitted. You cannot make this car under 60 laps. So you have to, I think, go for a short fuel at the end of the race, if I recall correctly.
After Matt Holloway, he's been pitting every caution so far. I'm pretty sure he's good to go to the end, so this could play out in his favor. Aaron Roos just now exited pit road with a brand new front wing and damage repaired on his number three. Up front, Greg Seitz now trying to gun for the race lead. Fighting this one around the outside line of Jason Owens, who has the bottom of 3 and 4. Seitz is clear, third different race leader on the night. And
who would expect to see Seitz coming from all the way down from P8 and leading this race, right? If we have to talk about prior to the race start and saying, oh, Seitz might not be able to get this, he might have to work his way out, yeah. And Roos back out. Let's see what Seitz does, because the defending P1 is going to be complicated.
And in fact, Aaron Roos is back into pit road. I believe that might have been for a speeding penalty from the looks of things.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately for him, he's taking tires. That's an interesting choice from Aaron Roos. We'll have to see if that ends up leading anywhere in the future. But for now, we'll focus up on this battle for the lead as Owens tries to fight the inside. The thing is, Owens has tried this time and time again on Frank Newitt, and it has never been successful. He was only successful when he managed to get the outside around the 5 car. That's what he's got to do here around Greg Seitz, or he's just not going to go anywhere.
And you can see now Nguyen on the outside line, probably going to make the move on Owens into turn number 3 and 4. So Nguyen probably going to come back into P2, and I don't think he's going to hold himself back going against Seitz. One guy who should be keeping an eye though, Hollybaugh's getting closer from this 4-car train.
That he is, and that's a result of all of the battling that these guys have been doing throughout this leading pack here, this 4-car train. And just now, they finally single-filed themselves out for the first time in about 15 laps or so. So, Nguyen is actually going to the outside line here. What he's doing here, he's trying to get a good run of steam. He's not going to gain anything on entry, but he gets so much of a run on exit. Look at the closing speed on Greg Seitz. That's what he's trying to do here. He's holding the outside lines. He has a better run, plus the draft to work with off of these corners. And Jason doesn't figure that out. He tried to follow, but got caught up in dirty air. Now Frank Nguyen is closing in on Seitz. Seitz tries to shut the door by the outside line, but can't get there in time. Frank Nguyen holds the outside and is trying to go for the race lead.
Yeah, but that was a good move from Seitz, kind of blocking off on the entry up on the outside line, and Nguyen. It wasn't a check-up per se, but he had to lift up the gas a little bit to not compromise the entry out of turn number 3 and 4. And that's what gave Seitz the advantage going to the prior lap.
Jason Owens is still trying to find the inside, but no dives for Owens. Now Frank Nguyen switches it up, goes to the inside with a huge dive on Greg Seitz. Seitz pushes around the outside line and manages to clear.
A nice move from Seitz, and now you can see Owens on the outside line, go for the move on Nguyen on turn number 3 and 4. And the switchback going to happen again on the P number 2, but no one has an answer for Seitz at the current moment.
At the moment, Nguyen is really fighting with Jason Owens. I think Nguyen needs to back off here and allow Jason Owens to, or he can just do that. I was going to say he needs to back off and allow Owens to have the chance to get close so they can both overtake him. But if he's going to make a move like that, you may as well fall all the way back, as now he almost runs over Kevin Smalley. Frank Nguyen is starting to drive a little bit angry here.
Yeah, it's gonna be tricky because these guys, they're nearly touch wheels.
Little piece of contact between Smalley and Nguyen. I could have swore they touched. They did touch. That was side pod to side pod, not quite wheel to wheel. But if they were about a foot further back, it actually would have been wheel-to-wheel contact. That would have been caution number 3. Now look at Matt Holloway, who's thrown his way into the ring. Holloway working his way up. We're talking last place on the grid, trying to come away with a podium finish, and he's got the time in his face to potentially go for it here.
Yeah, he got the tires, man. He can actually push this car as much as he wants, and then probably will have the grip to outmatch every single individual. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do to try to defend from Hollyball. I don't think they have anything. They might contend for a few laps, surely, but I think Hollyball has the upper hand on this one.
He absolutely does, and Holloway is going to go around the outside, and there it is. Smalley is forced to back out. The dirty air just sucked him in. Couldn't do anything about it. So Holloway was up to 4th. You know who's also moving up, though? Jason Owens, now really pressuring Greg Seitz with 10 laps to go. Oh, Seitz gets loose through 4.
Ooh, and that will bring Jason Owens into the fray right now, so it's going to be interesting to see how Owens is going to be aggressive over here with time to go.
10 laps remaining, just about 9.5 miles, coming to 9 here in short order. Jason Owens really chasing down Greg Seitz right now, trying to see if he has anything for that 12 car. Frank Newen still just waiting in the wings as well. If either of these guys makes a mistake, Newen is going to be all over them. Currently about half a second between Newen and Seitz altogether. But as you can see as well, that is a lifetime when it comes to an oval race. So this is going to be really intense here. So Frank Newen trying to wait in the wings. Holloway's up to 4th. He's trying to maybe see if he can maybe catch up as well. It's going to be a 3-horse race to the end of this rate.
It might be. It might be. If we get a mistake from either driver or they get too close from one another and they check themselves up, Hollyball comes in, Malia comes in, Smalley comes in, so it becomes, instead of a 3-car battle, it becomes a 6-car battle. And the thing you really don't want is having a whole party of drivers trying to fight for podium spots and leadership positions with about 7 to go.
7 laps remaining. Frank Newen has caught Jason Owens. Owens is still trying to find the inside of Greg Seitz. I don't think he's going to be able to have anything for him, though, at this rate. Not unless he tries to make a really good pass on the outside line. That is the only way at this point that Owens has got to do. He's got to take the Newen strategy. Go around the outside on entry, and that way you're going to have such a better run on him, like Newen is doing the exact same move at the moment on Jason Owens. Closing in rapidly on the 4-car, but just trapped him behind and can't go for the position.
And you can see there's a little bit of air push coming turn number 1 for Owens, and that brings Newen, who has last of an arrow push, gets kind of blocked off on the outside, again shut down right on the entry. He's going to have to drive the middle line, going to the bottom to get a maximum run off, and then ride all the way down to the outside, nearly clipping the wall. Maximize speed on the exit of turn number 4, and they're going to have to reset themselves all over again with 5 to go.
5 more trips around this 1-mile oval. Jason Owens closing in big time on Greg Seitz because of that mistake. Oh, Seitz bobbles, goes defensive. Pierre Bourdon's in the wall just behind him in the number 13 car with a broken right rear suspension. It's worth noting that if a caution comes out now, it most likely would end the race under yellow. Whoa. Here we go. Trying to go for the lead down in the turn 1. Jason Owens, though, cannot get there, does not have the speed on the bottom end. He has a tank slapper as well.
Indy had to actually check up to avoid crashing the right left out of sight. So Newen comes in now and switches positions. Now going to be on the honey party.
Frank Newen retakes second, trying to go for first, has a big one on sight, looks the inside, dives to the inside with 3 to go, trying to go for the race lead. He lost it around the halfway point, and he is now trying to fight it back. He has not been able to retake the race lead since he lost it around lap 29, and now he's trying to see if he can maybe finish up there on just the 60th lap of the race.
As we go into lap 59 out of 60, both drivers get together really close. They don't touch anything whatsoever, so now Owens is probably going to go take back 1 more lap. When it comes to the final lap, he might go for the all-engine on turn number 1, but the opening is closing. That door is shutting very quickly on both drivers to get that win.
Coming to the white flag. Greg Seitz has got a big gap now over Newen, and I don't think it's going to be enough for Newen to be able to surmount unless he can get we're talking the absolute beast of a run through turn 1, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. We're talking a quarter second sitting between them. Behind,
Connor Brown
is just wrecked with Kevin Smalley on the final lap of the race of their own little battle. We'll keep on with the race. We'll get back to that hopefully in a little bit here. So Frank Newen, can he run down Greg Seitz? Coming to the final corner. They both run wide. Not going to get there. Greg Seitz wins from Phoenix. What a
3 out of
run
3.
for both of these drivers coming out through the final laps of the race. Greg Seitz somehow fends off Newen to end the race. What an absolutely unbelievable drive there. We had a bit of a messy start there, Lorenzo, around the first half of the race, but good grief, it was worth it. Now, here's going to be a replay, I believe, of what might have happened to Connor Melia in his own little battle in the final laps of the race.
And you can see the car gets a little bit wobbly going to the entry of the final turn, the number 9 out of Connor Melia. But yeah, but that's really unfortunate because I saw them getting themselves so close together into the exit of turn number 1, going to number 2, and the contact was actually inevitable, and that brings, fortunately for them, it brings Hans Siga from P number 7 all the way up to P number 5.
You saw right there, he just pushed too wide. The dirty air caught him out. He got sucked right up into the into that driver. That is such a big shame there for Kevin Smalley, who was in position for a top 5 finish. That's such a shame, though. Sounds, though, like there's no hard feelings between them, so we'll take a look now at your post-race results from a thrilling race here at the Phoenix Raceway. So it is Greg Seitz to take home with a well-deserved race win. Frank Newen is going to be in second place with Jason Owens to round out the podium drivers. Matt Hollabo is going to be in fourth place with Hans Seeger. Rounded out the top 5 after the 5th and 6th place drivers both crashed out. Connor Melia finishes out in 6th place with Jason Pedu in 7th. Kevin Smalley finishes 1 lap down in 8th, not finishing the final lap of the race. Jason Miller sits in 9th place with James Allen in 10th. Koenigsfeld in 11th place with Martin Steinhilber in 12th. Aaron Roos in 13th, and now we're getting to the drivers that did not finish in the race, with Aaron Roos being among them, along with Riley Thompson and Pierre Bourdon. Other drivers actually made it back out onto the track to take the checkered flag. Frank Newen, fastest lap, lap 51, in an effort to try to run down Greg Seitz for the win. Such a shame, though, that we had a few of the battles end the way they did, but overall, very, very good race here from Phoenix.
A very good racing here for Phoenix, especially those final 15 to 20 laps, should we say, over here on the track. But Seitz, sometimes you have to, whenever you are the leader, you need that luck, right? So he got the luck of not getting involved in the incidents. Of course, managed to avoid them and found the right timing to make the overtakes, and being in the lead in Phoenix actually gives you an advantage. You can kind of select where you're going in terms of the lines, and he picked the right lines to defend and thus coming away with the win.
So we look forward into the season, and of course the Red Bull Ring coming up next over in Austria for a 21-lap race coming up here in just 1 week's time. That is bound to be a very entertaining race as well. It's a new track to the service, and boy, is it ever a fun track. So glad that we finally have the Red Bull Ring with us. What do you think we're going to be seeing from next week's race? Because that's a track full of long straights and hard braking zones.
It's going to be basically, I think, a draft fast from start to finish. I think so. The one thing I really don't want to do is try to emulate what Lando Norris tried to pull off a free practice and say they hurt their talents, going off in turn number 1. But other than that, I think they should fare just pretty well. Car kind of will handle similarly to what the F3 does around the track, so it's going to be an interesting race nevertheless.
It is bound to be a very interesting race coming up for us here in just 1 week's time. And don't forget to stay tuned here on RaceSpotTV. We've got yourselves both the Apex Formula 3 Championship coming up here really shortly, along with the iRacing Formula V Series. 2 very thrilling open-wheel series, and no doubt those are going to be races you want to watch as well. For now, though, I'm Manola Rempel here with Lorenzo Bonder, with Connor Matic down behind the cameras for tonight's race. It has been a thriller here from Phoenix. Thank you for joining us. Best of luck, and we'll see you all later on.